Hey everyone, this is Michael Stice and podcast on mobile app growth. And here we discuss how to launch your app, how to grow it, how to monetize it successfully. And today our guest is Ryan Kelley, mobile growth expert, Apple Search Ads and Apple Store optimization consultant. Ryan is a marketing generalist with extensive knowledge of app stores and subscription optimization, who has a wealth of experience working for some top advertising agencies. Ryan, thanks for joining us today. Could you maybe tell us a little bit more about yourself? Do you work like on a project basis? Do you work alone or you have a team? And maybe you could name some companies you worked for.
Sure. So right now I kind of work in a hybrid model where I work in support of agencies, where I do a lot of white label and behind the scenes work for some big agencies. Currently, I run the ASO program for Neil Patel Digital, but I'm also a freelancer. So I do a lot of projects for Apple Search Ads Management, Google App Campaign Management, and then consulting just generally on product strategy, different mobile marketing kind of challenges and questions I solve. But in the past, I've worked for agencies. I worked for Gummicube, and I've worked in support of other agencies. But I've been freelancing for the last couple of years, and that's where I hopefully plan to stay.
So do you enjoy working more to like being your own boss than as a part of an agency?
I do, because I like the challenges. It's more work. There's more pressure, but it's definitely more rewarding when things go well and job's well done, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's jump into the discussion of Apple platform and advertising on Apple's platform. What are like the new trends you see on the App Store maybe this year? Like what are the news with Apple Search Ads specifically?
Well, there's one thing that's really interesting that's been happening this year, I guess this quarter, I should say, and that is all of the clients that I have are cutting their budgets for Apple Search Ads. Some of the companies, both big and small, are also cutting back people internally, and they're also cutting back all marketing budget. And this is across the board. I've seen performance marketing budget slashed by 2/3. So I think that there's a couple things at play here. People are worried about what's going to happen next year, and with the state of the world right now, and recession and these types of things. So everyone's being very cautious. So I've seen that, but I've also seen there's a lot of frustration with Apple Search Ads, because it's, companies with big budgets are having trouble even using those budgets because of not so much traffic actually going to the store. So I think that while I think Apple Search Ads is great, I think it's fantastic. I'm really looking forward to next year when the analytics are expanded and we can see a little bit more clearly what's happening after the user installs. Do they start this subscription? Do they convert? So.
And speaking of that, do you expect Apple to add more data on that side, so it will be analytics on in-app events and in-app revenue will be available inside Apple's Search Ads native interface?
If I'm not mistaken, that's correct. But Apple does have a history of saying that these features are going to come and they come late, or they're not nearly what was expected. I think that product page optimization is a good example of something being very excited for a new feature only to have it come out and it's very, very underwhelming. So I think it's interesting, but I think next year, like what I'm most looking forward to, or what I'm going to do, at least with my clients, is I'm really going to hone in and I want to really understand that when a user clicks on a keyword, what is the action after that? Are they subscribing? Are they not subscribing? How valuable is that keyword to me? So that's something that I'm going to be paying attention to.
Yeah, that makes sense. And obviously, you should be measuring this in-app events and in-app revenue. What instruments, what tools do you use at the moment to measure that?
At the moment, I use searchads.com as a way to measure and use as a bridge between. Usually, it's the MMP that I work with the most is AppsFlyer. So using that combination has been very, very good. I know that they have some new features that are coming out and some of the automation. Yeah. There's two minds about automation. I found that it works quite well with the apps that I tend to work with, which are publishers that have a larger portfolio of apps.
So speaking specifically about Apple search ads, you mentioned that people are reducing the budgets, but still, let's imagine you are just launching a new mobile app. Is Apple search ads something that you would recommend to such an app? Is it good to get the initial users and start growing, or you would recommend different user acquisition channels for launching the app?
There are so many things that go into answering that question. I think that first of all, if you're launching a new app today into the App Store, I think it's a challenge. It's more challenging now than it's ever been before. That's just because we've reached a point of saturation, and it's very difficult to come up with something that's innovative enough to set the app apart. And the other problem that we face is just fewer and fewer people are going to the store to casually browse. It's very difficult to get traction, where before it used to take an app about a year to 2 years to really gain that traction. Now it takes much longer, because apps that have been published before have built up lots of ratings, they've built up lots of downloads, and in order for an app to rank, a new app to rank, they most of the time need to have the same number. So I think that if someone is launching an app and they're using Apple search ads to test keywords, I think that's a great strategy, because I think that the Apple search ads platform is one of the best ASO tools, if not the best ASO tool that we have. Because it allows you to actually test keywords to figure out what's going to have click-through, what has the highest intent. So I do think that it is good, but I would use it for testing. I wouldn't necessarily use it with the idea that it's going to grow the user base as quickly as other activities.
So basically, you are saying that if you're just launching the app, you should be using Apple search ads as a way to figure out how to actually optimize what keywords to use in your, let's say, app description and so on, how to optimize organic traffic for your app. Experiment with different words and then implement this keywords that works best into your organic search description, maybe a title of the app, and all relevant placements.
Yes, and you need click-through on those new keywords, because there isn't any click-through. So if you do launch a new app, Apple search ads will help you get those first clicks on the keywords, and then help you to start to index those keywords. So yes, I do recommend it for testing and for indexing keywords, but for growing the user base, there's other channels which are going to be much more effective and even more cost efficient.
Mm-hmm. And any advice on budget allocation? How much should be allocated to Apple search ads, other channels?
This is a question that I get all the time, and as a general rule of thumb, I tell people if you don't have $100 a day to put towards Apple search ads, then it's probably not going to be worthwhile. Just because you do need some budget, and I have tried to test like $25 a day or $50 a day. But $100 is pretty much the minimum, I would say. And
So
that's just me
$100
personally.
gives you like enough room to make some experiments, add new keywords, and so on to figure out what works. Otherwise, it will take you forever to figure out what works for your app.
But I'm also speaking specifically for the U.S. market. I don't recommend launching in the U.S. market first anyway for most apps. I think it's always better to go to other markets, and there your $100 budget is going to go a lot further. So in that case, I might lower the budget a little bit, but it depends on the app, depends on the market, and depends on really what the expectations are.
So what countries do you recommend to start to test your marketing?
It really depends, but there are a few markets that I find are small enough to really to test markets and to get a lot of feedback. Australia's generally been pretty good. Canada is very good. I've also localized and tested in Italy, Germany, and France. I think those are great markets to test in. And Turkey is a good market, but there's no Apple search ads, so but it's still a good market to test because for some reason there's very active mobile app users.
Got it. And regarding other user acquisition channels, do you think it's worth maybe focusing on other user acquisition channels if you don't want to start with Apple search ads? Like maybe there are a lot of talks now about TikTok, for example. Do you use TikTok in your work?
Well, it's very difficult to answer that. I only this year, probably mid-year, I stopped trying to do everything because before I had so many plates spinning, and I was trying to be good at TikTok because I saw phenomenal results with even just without ads, just content. Snapchat is exactly the same. I think those are two great. I think the audiences are expanding. But for me, I think that anymore, I don't personally manage those channels. I always recommend working with an agency or a freelancer who's an expert in kind of the performance marketing channels. But I do see a couple channels that are oftentimes underused or they're just not optimized. So today I was speaking with someone and I said, okay, well, for this particular search phrase, which is pretty much what the app does, there's no search volume really in the store. There aren't very many people searching for the store. But if you go and look at that on the web, there's tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of searches for the different permeations of this keyword. And what that means is there's a lot of opportunities on the web where people are going to discover apps. The first place they go is not going to be the store. It's going to be the web. And so I think that web, SEO, content, all of these avenues are really the most cost-effective, but the best.
Yeah, and in this case, probably it makes sense to try out Google app campaigns to advertise the app.
I sort of put Google app campaigns and Apple search ads under the umbrella of ASO because they rely so much on having a well-optimized page. They are paid search, and they are strictly for, well, more so Apple search ads is a mid-funnel strategy for people that are going to the store. It's not going to bring more people to the store. It's reliant upon people going to the store. So yes, if you want to convert more users, Google is kind of hit or miss. You don't really have so much control over it. I think that both platforms and paid search, you pretty much have to use. It's just part of it. It has to be part of the budget. But as far as getting in front of the right users, I still say that a web funnel is going to bring much better users, and using content, social, all of these channels, and really it's about brand and building the brand. That's how users are searching. 9 out of 10 searches are for brand.
Got it. But do you recommend to build some web presence in this case? I think a lot of our clients and companies that we talk to, they don't even have any web presence at all. So just an app, right? Or maybe a very basic web landing page, and that's it. And the whole product is entirely mobile.
This always surprises me about how little attention and resources are given to web, because if all you have to do is just ask people, and I do this all the time, and what's the last app you downloaded, and the response is always whatever the biggest app is at the moment, and I say, but surely you went to the store, you must have done keyword and typed in keywords to find the app and evaluate it. I was like, no, my friend told me about it. And I said, exactly. And that's exactly how people are going to find every single app. So the brand awareness outside of the store is what makes or breaks. All you're really trying to do inside the store with App Store optimization and with paid search is just convert the traffic that's already there, and you're converting the browse traffic. Yeah, I mean, there is browse traffic, and sometimes it can be very valuable, but most of the time the intent is very low, or at least it's low compared to somebody doing a brand search.
Got it. So do you have any insights about Apple Search Ads new placements? And I guess this should be working fine for larger companies, right? So we've been mostly discussing now how to launch the app, what channels to test, if you have small budget, $100 per day, and stuff like that. Let's imagine a situation where we're talking about very large brand with already large existing app. What should be the approach there, both on search ads and maybe other channels?
So I think that when you have an app that appeals to a very large audience, so I think even the last time we spoke, I was talking about how I saw Grammarly was using some of the new ad placements, and Grammarly that's a fantastic publisher or app to use something where they're trying to build that brand awareness, where they're just trying to get in front of everybody. Games is also the same thing. Games can be discovered that same way, but if you have something that's a little bit more niche and that appeals to only a certain user, or somebody is looking to solve a problem instantly or as soon as possible, they're not going to probably browse around the store. So I think that, yes, I think the placement's there for just visibility. I think it's very good. The value of the users, I'm not sure. I've seen some kind of mixed things. But the Today tab, I would say, is probably not as valuable as the apps you might like at the bottom of the page. But again, you need people to be browsing. And
have you actually tried those placements already in your with your clients? I think they've been just recently released on the App Store.
I'm having a hard time building a case study to actually convince clients to put budget towards it. Again, clients, they're cutting budgets right now, and it's strange because usually at this time of the year, the larger companies are having to spend budget so that they can get it for the next year, and so they're just pumping out money into advertising. And this is the first time that since I've been in mobile that I've ever seen such a big pullback and a big pullback on Apple search ads. I think that was
that's super interesting. When did it start? When did you feel like that people started reducing their budgets?
Well, I should also say that a lot of the companies I work with are in the finance category, and so that probably has a big thing to do with it. But I would say that in towards the end of the summer in August is when it kind of started, and then September, and then each month it's just gotten a little bit kind of follows with these conversations. I've had multiple conversations now where they said, look, we're having to cut like staff internally, and we're going to like even working as a freelancer, we're not going to be able to work with you, past. So it's getting to be tough. And I think that there's a lot of budgets being cut, but it's hard to say to someone, hey, we need to put budget to test these new ad placements.
Yeah.
But I don't know, what have you seen? I think you also
actually, we do have on our platform at conversion.io, we do have a solution to measure search ads performance specifically for subscription apps, and we see very high adoption of this feature. People are increasing usage of it, and we see like more money being spent there. But maybe just we released it just this year, so we can compare to what was happening last year. We are just onboarding new clients to this feature, so it's hard to tell to us. It kind of looks like it works pretty well for many clients, but of course I understand that it could be like this macro economic stuff that is affecting like overall market and overall picture.
Is it a certain category that you find that's working better, or is it just too early to really tell?
So mostly our clients are apps that monetize with subscriptions, and it's like utilities, fitness, education, and everything like that. I would say less of games, more of all other type of apps, and it works pretty fine for this segment. Anyways, Ryan, I want to be mindful of your time here. Anything you personally would like to speak about or share?
I just think that, I guess I think we're towards the end of the year, and it's time for the predictions for 2023. And every year, I for the last 2 years, I've said exactly the same thing. But I think towards the end of next year, we're going to see a lot more web funnels and a lot more people that are going to, I think eventually there's going to be the ability to sideload apps and download apps outside of just the basic two stores.
On Apple platforms.
Yeah.
You expect this on Apple platform as well?
Yeah, I think that there's enough decent or enough people that are really unhappy with Apple, and I definitely don't think that Apple has the publisher's best interest in mind. They are a business, and it's all about getting people to spend more on advertising, and I think that eventually people are just going to get frustrated, and they're gonna really, they're gonna have web apps, and it makes so much sense to do that. So I think that next year, towards the end of the year, we're gonna see more apps that can be downloaded from a website, or you're gonna see web apps that they just keep getting better and better and better. So I think that's really a prediction, but I'm also. I think that, and I've been saying this for a long time, but as teams kind of scale down, I think that agencies are gonna become very, very big, consultants and agencies, and I think that's because there are there's more open positions than there are actual people to fill those positions. And I think that working with agencies is going to be, or just outside bringing people in, is going to be a trend for next year. But as far as Apple search ads go, I'm really excited about understanding the data a little bit better to really figure out, which users are the most valuable, which subscribe, which churn, at the keyword level. So I think that's something to look forward to, and something that's very interesting.
Yeah, thanks so much for sharing, and we'll see how this will play out, and if Apple will kind of allow to some kind of side loading, or maybe lower the commission that they charge of in-app purchases and in-app subscriptions. There have been a lot of talks about this, but it didn't change that much, I would say, for now at least. How our listeners can find you online? Are you on Twitter, on LinkedIn? What's the best way to connect?
Those two channels are usually the best. I'm on LinkedIn, and it's just Ryan Kelley Biz, B-I-Z, and I'm on also on Twitter. And I'm always available for questions, especially challenging questions around App Store optimization. I encourage anyone to reach out. I'm happy to answer questions as best as I can.
Awesome. I hope there will be a lot of questions after we release this episode. Thanks so much for joining us today, Ryan. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks, Michael.